The TLS series library has multiple power supplies within it. There is a handler power supply, which supplies powers to the robotics of the library, and then tape drive power supplies, which supply power to the tape drives. Now, depending on the size and model of your library, you may have multiple handler power supplies and multiple tape drive power supplies. In this module, we will describe how to install and remove a tape drive power supply. The first thing you want to do when removing the power supplies is you want to power off the library and disconnect the power cord. To replace a tape drive power supply in a TLS series library, after you power off the library and you've already disconnected the power cord, you want to go to the back of the library and you want to remove the three screws that keep the top cover down, because the top cover must be removed. The screws have already been removed in this demonstration, so I will go ahead and remove the last screw. After removing the three screws in the back, you want to go ahead and come to the front of the library, open the front door, and you want to remove the three screws on the front of the library. Now, for this demonstration, we've already removed two of these screws, and go ahead and just remove the final screw. Once all the screws for the top cover have been removed, go ahead and lift the top cover off of the library. Now, if you look inside the library, you'll notice that on the right side of the library, you'll see that there's two power supplies. Those are the tape drive power supplies that need to be removed. Now, in order to gain access to those power supplies, we have to remove the right side cover of the library. Now, that consists of removing all of these screws along the top, these screws along the back, screws along the bottom of the library, and then finally the screws on the side here. So when removing the side panel, we've already removed all of the screws along the bottom, the front, side, and the back side here. We've removed these screws here. Now this is the final screw. When removing the final screw, you want to kind of be careful to hold on to the screen or hold on to the cover so that it does not just fall flying off. Go ahead and take the cover off. Once the cover has been removed, you'll see that there are two tape drive power supplies embedded in the side of this library. Now, depending on the size of the library, you may have just one power supply or you can have two. Now, for this particular library, it has two tape drive power supplies. The top tape drive power supply supplies power to the top two drive bay positions, and the bottom power supply supplies power to the bottom two drive positions. Please note that on our larger dual-sided libraries, depending on whether you're talking about the right side or the left side, this may be crisscross, where the top supplies power to the bottom two drives and the bottom supplies power to the top two drives. To get clarification on that, please contact Qualstar Tech Support and we can make sure that you guys are changing out the proper power supply. Now, once you've identified which power supply you need to remove, it's very simple. You want to remove the protective screen by removing these four screws. Once the last screw is removed, you can go ahead and remove the protective screen. After removing the protective screen, you want to go ahead and disconnect the two cords from the library to the power supply. This one and this one. Now, depending on the actual model of the power supply, the cords may look a little different, but there will always be two cords. You just go ahead and disconnect those two. So after the cables from the library to the power supply have been disconnected, you want to go ahead and remove the four screws that hold the power supply in place. Once you remove the four screws that hold the power supply in place, you just slide the power supply and remove it from the library. To install a tape drive power supply back into a TLS series library, you want to go ahead and grab your power supply. You want to kind of grab the cords, get them out of the way, fish them into the power supply. Align the power supply with the screw holes and screw the power supply back into place. After tightening down the 4 screws, you want to go ahead and reconnect the cords, cables back to the power supply. After the cables have been connected to the power supply, you want to go ahead and reconnect the protective screen over the power supply. Once the final screw has been tightened on the protective screen, you want to go ahead and put the side cover back onto the library. When applying the side cover back to the library, you want to make sure to use the flathead screws for the back of on the back side of the library here. The panhandle screws are used everywhere else. Now, a little hint: when putting the side cover back on, when you put the screws, you don't want to tighten them down. You want to kind of just put the screws in so that they're in loose until you get all the screws around. Once all the screws are in, you can go back and tighten the screws, because if you tighten the screws too early, you may have a problem down at the bottom or at the top, depending on which section of the cover you've already tightened. Now, once you have the side cover back onto the library, you want to go ahead and put your top cover back onto the library. Once the top cover is in place, you want to just go ahead and push it down and then reapply the screws that hold the top cover in place.